I am hanging out with somebody really cool. By the way, it's the first time I ever had a firefighter on the show. So, Mr. Jim Frawley, from fire chief to like professor, and now with this little company called Facebook.
Let me tell y'all out there a little story, man, and it goes a little something like this.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and children of all ages, it is yours truly once again, the corporate security translator and the author of So You Want to Get Into Corporate Security. I am hanging out with somebody really cool. By the way, it's the first time I ever had a firefighter on the show. So Mr. Jim Frawley, from fire chief to like professor, and now with this little company called Facebook. Dude, I am super excited to have you here because I am telling you, yeah, you're gonna change the world, man. Look, firefighter, doing big things. Prior chief, man. How the hell are you, man?
Well, Carlos, I'm fantastic as always, and my friend, it is a pleasure to be here on your show. It's nothing but a laugh a minute every time that we are together. So I'm here to maybe convey some of my insights and knowledge. I certainly hope that I can help the firefighting group out there. But we'll see. Let's see how it unfolds.
It's gonna happen. We'll see how it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, man. Because look, by the way, you're the first one. So let me hold on. Claps. We got claps. You're the first one, man. So I'm really excited. Now we're gonna have a great time, man. But we got a lot to talk about. We got a very little time, and it's really cool that you're a big time fire chief and stuff. And then all of a sudden, man, you're hanging out with Facebook. So tell everybody out there a little bit of your story, man. Let's get it kicked off.
All right. So my story is like you have pointed out, I'm the first. I tried to be a unicorn through most of my career, right? I try to do stuff, and I definitely am a unicorn here at Facebook, right? I don't think there are very many, full 30 plus year career service retirement firefighters that are working there. I think I'm the only one. There are a lot of people who've sort of been in it, dabbled in it, this and that, but I am true the 30-year career plus firefighter. And anyways, the way I got to Facebook was through my career. I really tried to take, and this is my advice to everybody, right? I really tried to take advantage of every opportunity that came my way, whether it was emergency management, being the PIO, working in public education, working in hazmat. I really, from the very beginning of my career, I did all of those different things, which helped really sort of continue to add on all of these specialties that at some point in time paid off. Because the way I got to Facebook is one day, the group that I'm working with, the team I'm with, was sitting around and saying, hey, we need to do better at incident command and incident management, right? How do we do that? And they were all, not to badmouth my brothers in blue or green, they were all like sheriffs, retired sheriffs, police officers, military. And they're like, I gotta say, they're the ones who said, we really need to get a firefighter here because they're the ones who do it right.
Absolutely.
And so from there, a couple of phone calls to a couple of their firefighter buddies. And all of those paths led back to me. So I got a phone call that says, hey, you're the guy that we need to hire.
Hey.
And here I am. So I went through a couple of interviews, a couple of loops, everything worked out. And I'm here doing emergency management and incident command for Facebook, which is a joy, a pleasure.
Hey, and you get to work with me. A joy,
yes.
A pleasure.
Exactly.
And that's very cool, man. So there's a couple of things I caught on there in the introduction, which I thought was really cool. Were you doing all these things that, you had an opportunity to do or came your way or whatever education it was that was thrown at you? Were you doing that because you were trying to just get better at what you were doing, or did you have in the back of your mind, okay, maybe if I gather all these things, I may have also another opportunity in the future? What were your thought when those things? Because when I was a cop, every time there was a little class I could take, I'd jump on it like as soon as possible. So I don't know. Tell me.
Well, I think it's important for anybody, but especially police and firefighters, to adopt that lifelong learner sort of mindset. You need to do that, and if your department is giving you the opportunity to do it, you should jump on it. And then, and if they're not, and then it's like, hey, here's an avenue that I could pursue. You need to do that because number one, for me, it was lifelong learning. Number two is, yeah, there are definitely opportunities within the fire department that would allow you to utilize those skills and get recognized for them. And then three, yeah, always in the back of my mind, I've always been what's next, right?
Yeah.
What's next? And I've always dreamed, to a little side note that you don't know, every position that I've been in, I've always dreamed about it, right? Okay, what do I want to do next? This is what I want to do. This promotion, this. So when I was fire chief and sort of getting towards the end of my career, I'm like, well, what do I want to do? God, I'd really like to be in charge of the emergency management program for a big tech company. And I'm like, I live in, up here in North Cal in Santa Cruz. And I'm like, it has to be something that's based here. So
yeah,
not an Amazon, not a Microsoft, but yeah, maybe like Apple or Google, Facebook, Netflix. And lo and behold, boom, opportunity came my way and I grabbed it.
And that's an incredible thing, man, because you and I have talked about firemen usually have a side gig. That's one of the things that the cops are always upset about, by the way, that we just couldn't have that side extra money to go on vacation on. Firemen were always going on vacation. But because y'all had the old 48-hour shift, it was the same thing in Florida. And then you had a couple days in between. What do? Well, let's make that extra money. But you were saying that that's one of the reasons why some firemen decide, well, this side gig has worked for me so well. Let's make it into a full-time gig, general contracting, whatever the case may be. And then they get on it. But your thought, because of the connections, you get into the corporate world. I personally have seen a lot of firemen in the corporate world. And so is this like a new trend, you think, or no? Or you are just one of the lucky few?
Well, I think it really depends on the area of the country that you're from, because I would say areas that have a big sort of entertainment or like people relations, like a entertainment industry, amusement parks, those types of things, that tends to fall more in the wheelhouse for firefighters,
right?
And where like the standard corporate security gig, right? Firefighters, like, we didn't do security. We haven't done physical security. So it's hard to find a place.
Yeah.
I think it's changing though. I think definitely it's changing. We talked about how now, especially after COVID, a lot of companies are realizing, oh my gosh, we didn't have emergency management. We weren't prepared. We weren't. And so what's happening is a lot of those companies are turning to security and going, well, you protect us from physical threats, you should protect us from this. And they're like, but we're not emergency managers. And so, firefighters do have sort of that natural instinct. And also we work within the emergency management realm all the time. Yeah. So I think we will start to see some firefighters come over to corporate security. And I would highly recommend it. I think it's fantastic. I think it's a great opportunity.
Jim, outstanding point. And, I came from the Walt Disney Company. A lot of people know that. And we had a bunch of them. And because we were doing a lot of emergency management exercises, I mean, from the old needs meeting tabletops down to, all the way to the after action reports, which a lot was led by folks that in a prior life were firemen. So that was quite normal for me. In the hotel industry is the same way. Being from Orlando, you see a lot of fire folks. What I'm realizing too in the future is that, firefighters deal a lot in hazardous materials and everything else. If you're part of that group, but the future with infectious diseases, it's not so different. And I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for firefighters. Am I wrong on that?
No, you're 100% correct, right? The COVID that happened, I hate to say it, but I think that we were seeing it before COVID hit with measles, right? There was all the measles scares that were going around. I think because of the way our world has evolved in that we are so global, right? Yeah. People are traveling in the course of 12 hours, you're on the other side of the world, right? And people are moving and constantly exchanging. And so that the potential for that rapid spread of infectious disease is there. And so definitely firefighters moving into like environmental health and safety or being a subject matter expert within that area, those are all actually plausible. And firefighters are going to need to see that because their background in paramedicine and sort of understanding infectious disease at a field level is going to be critical for corporations to have.
I love it, man. You mentioned EH&S, the environmental health and safety, and there's a lot of companies that are still running just safety, which I've seen a lot of firefighters jumping on those opportunities, which are great with a couple of certifications like you're in, and then EH&S too. One of the things that I'm learning about coming into a healthier world and a healthier country is that the EH of EH&S is extremely important. How we get rid of stuff and how we maintain hazardous materials. I mean, it is key to the future. The data center world where I'm from, we're getting rid of electronics all the time. I mean, drives upon drives, because we have racks upon racks holding memory. EH&S is so important to what we do. So is there certifications out there as a fire person? Or I know there's safety not societies, I was going to say, definitely not societies, but there's safety groups out there, safety professionals you could talk to, I think, before you start making a transition. Do you know any of that stuff?
Yeah, so there are, it's interesting, there are different agencies, entities, organizations that offer different types and different levels of certification. So the ones that firefighters are really going to have or have opportunity will be sort of that standard hazardous materials response and awareness.
Yeah.
Right? So like spills or accidents that occur, firefighters by nature, day-to-day basis, we need to have experience and exposure in that area. So we have the training and the certifications there. Then you have more of sort of the industrial health certifications that can occur. And a lot of times, most of the times, you do have to go back to school to really dig deep into the chemistry and to the how different chemicals interact.
Right.
That's one area. Then you've got a whole safety, and you've talked about it, all of the safety. Then you've got a whole cleanup section that is about cleanup. So there's a lot of opportunities. And as a firefighter, you sort of dabble in all of those. So if anything interests you, definitely follow that, because following that, getting the certifications will open the door for you to go to these corporate opportunities. And I can't say enough how, taking those opportunities within the corporate environment is actually really great. It's as my dad said when I was contemplating coming to Facebook, he's like, it's going to open up the world to you of a whole new set of people and a whole new set of ways of looking at things. And that's how you're going to continue to grow. And for me, that was really important. That was a huge deciding factor when he told me that. And so he was right, 100%.
Yeah, your dad was definitely right, because even coming into a corporation like Facebook or any other corporation, really, there's this learning curve that you have to learn. And it's, I always tell people, it's the culture. You have to learn about the culture, how they speak, how they talk, how they walk. How are you reviewed as a leader? What's your measure? What are you measured by? That's different in a lot of times where you're coming from. It's a good point here. So when you made kind of this transition, what were some of the personal challenges that you had in just learning a corporation compared to just being a firefighter?
So coming in, I knew, I wish you had your podcast at the time. That would have been helpful. But I knew coming in, because I talked to a couple of friends, I knew coming in that there were some things that were going to be a challenge, and that I thought that I would be able to adapt to. And so the language and the culture, because I'm a people person, I thought that would be fun. I was looking forward to that, actually, right? So I watched all the Silicon Valley shows so that I could fit right into the culture.
That's my favorite show. The Silicon Valley is actually one of my favorite. Too bad they haven't moved forward with that. I don't know.
I know they ended it, but anyway. So I jest, but no, I was ready to change. My oldest son, he's a coder. He's a software engineer, and so I was interested in sort of joining his world. Right? It's not my world, it's his world. And so I wanted to see that. And I want to say that 100% really adapted, loved that. I knew that I was going to be evaluated different, where actually that the way we talked and the way that your success was measured, so in essence, how you're evaluated, was going to be different. And so I did need to learn that. That was a bit challenging. What does impact really mean? Right?
Oh, and
that was
impact.
Yeah. What does impact really mean? And so, I learned that I would say relatively quickly. Within about a year, I sort of figured out how to do that. And then how to evaluate people on their impact, right? Because I'm a manager, so I needed to do that. I will say that the thing that was the hardest, and I think it would be for everybody universally, is depending on where you are coming from, right? What level you're at, right? So I came as a fire chief, which was literally at the top of the organization.
Right.
I was a trusted confidant to the city manager and to the elected officials.
Right.
So I had incredible decision-making power as well as influence. And then coming into corporate, you're nowhere near that.
Right.
And understanding, the big thing is it's not that you're sort of restarting at the bottom, because I think most people, when they're making that decision, can do that. And I could do that. I understood that I was, in essence, a rookie within the corporate world, and that I had to earn my way and all that other kind of stuff. But the thing is understanding, right? Because when you come there, like, oh my God, so much experience, so much that we want you to contribute. We want you to tell us what to do, what's going on. We want you to give us that knowledge. So then you do, and you find out that you sometimes,
but you got to do it our way.
Sometimes you don't do it the right way. So I would say, from a transition perspective, is learning how to deliver the experience and the expertise that you have in a way that can be received correctly. And I have now, after 2.5 years, I think, learned how to do that the right way.
Well, I thought you had it at like 3 months. So congratulations, you fooled me. But I've had conversations like this before with folks, and you're right. And it's like a mind shift. And I'll plug in my book real quick. That's coming out on June 30th. So you want to get into corporate security. And I talk about when you come in, it is kind of like a restart in your career. And I talk about almost like being a baby. You're a baby again, you're reborn. But the good thing is that if you come in with an open mind to continue to learn, to continue to understand, to be humble, because, the funny thing, you're going to be sitting in rooms with people that know about the corporation a lot more than you, know about the processes a lot more than you, know about policies and procedures that are set in place today a lot more than you. So you have to be humble, and then sometimes even vulnerable too, Jim, because if you don't know something, you have to be able right from the beginning to say, look, that I don't know. That's but please teach me, let me know. So people have to kind of be in that frame of mind. And I think you got it. I mean, at least every time I've met with you, I didn't know like you're a fire chief until somebody told me. That's how humble you are. You know what I mean? I don't know if you just carry yourself like that, and to have a kid that's an engineer too, by the way, but you look 23. But anyways, that's a whole other thing. But that's the key. I think that's the way to go, right?
Yeah, it is. Absolutely being humble and really being interested in people, right? Because the thing is coming to Facebook, right? I worked in a variety of municipalities of different sizes and in some of the biggest municipalities around. And there's a bunch of different folks there, but to be perfectly honest, the people who choose sort of public service or civil service and are working in a municipality, I hate to say it, are a bit homogeneous in terms of you all have the same sort of mindset, right? The people are very different, right? Backgrounds and races, religions, and a lot of kind of stuff. Yeah. But you all have the same, you all have a singular sort of goal and the same mindset. You come to a corporation and it is the universe, billion stars.
Yeah, what an insight there. So everybody that's listening right now, that's a great insight, because I do podcasts all the time, and I've had a conversation with folks where they say, I miss about being in a squad. And I'm guessing for firefighters, I miss being in a house or, right in a station or whatever it is.
Right.
I miss that camaraderie. It's not that kind of sense anymore. There's some, but it's not like an everyday everyday thing, and it's hard to explain to people because you have to really change your the way you're thinking about that and kind of create your own.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, coming from the fire service, right? You've got your crew, right, and it's within the station or the firehouse, and you get very close. And depending on the size of your fire department, your crew over time can become the whole fire department, right? If you're in a department that's a couple hundred folks or less, everybody. Their kids and their wives and everybody. And if the fire department gets smaller, it's even closer.
Right.
As you get bigger, you start, you could, big fire department like New York, you could go your whole career and not meet 10, 20% of,
Right.
of the other
Right.
folks that are. So yes, but ultimately in your firehouse or your station, your crew, you get to really know them. It's family. It's literally family. And coming to a corporation, they don't have sort of that same structure. So I could see where you miss it, but you also have teams. And so it's like you said, it's sort of a different way. So it needs to be reborn. I like that. I like that sort of visual. It needs to be reborn in a different way. But then also you've got to have that interest in people and getting to know other people. That really will help you get through that transition.
Yeah, man. Yeah, talking about transition, I am dreading driving back to the office, but I do miss the people part that you're talking about. I actually enjoyed walking around the hallways in my boat shoes and boat shorts with as I'm wearing today, my Cuban guayabera. That's the beauty. By the way, firefighters that are listening to this, that's another beautiful thing about Silicon Valley, working in Silicon Valley. You can wear a Hawaiian shirt to work, and it's perfectly okay.
Just like me.
Yeah. It's perfectly okay. You don't have to wear a uniform of any kind anymore. And it's perfectly fine. That's the beauty about a corporation like Facebook.
Yeah, you got a lot of freedom. I personally miss the uniform, but I also do like the freedom that comes. Like this month is Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
That's right.
So for that, I had amassed more than 30 Hawaiian shirts. So this month I was actually in honor of that because I am API background as well, or identify API. Because my mom's from Taiwan, I wore a different Hawaiian shirt every day this month.
See, that's the beauty about this stuff, man. I love it too, and it's really strange. And so I'm gonna go into the inclusivity of corporations then, because you were talking about a little earlier how you're all the same. Police officers are all the same too. We do the same thing. We hang out with each other after work. We barbecue with each other after work. We go to the movies together after work. If you're in a squad, when I was in the squad, there was 7 of us. We literally hung out, did everything together afterwards. And I have to tell you, we were kind of myopic. We were close-minded. We were a little close-minded because what was around us was good. Everybody else were criminals. Nobody else was good. Everybody else were crackheads and drug addicts. We were good. And so you didn't have a chance to really get out of that workspace. And a lot of times I think you were doing it because what was safe. It was safe for you there, because you see a lot of crap, man. I remember you talking about working out of Santa Cruz. It's a kind of a weird hippie place too, man, at times. So I can just imagine some of the stuff that your crew were seeing. But then you move to a place like Facebook and a lot of the corporations in Silicon Valley. You're very open. So because you and I know API, I didn't know this until I came to Facebook that's how people were. But all of the internal groups. So you have to be comfortable with like groups like Black At. You have to be comfortable with gay, lesbian, at groups, and you have to be open minded like that. So. What do you think about that?
I think that's incredible. And for me, that if you were going to ask me what are like the top 3, benefits for coming to Facebook.
Hey, what are the top 3 benefits to coming to Facebook?
I would definitely include my expansion of diversity and inclusion, right? I thought that I was fairly forward thinking and very diverse in thought and inclusive in thought and people and practice. Because as a fire chief, you're right, I was fire chief for over a dozen years, and during that time, I really was an advocate for recruiting and hiring and really reaching out to at all parts and all levels of the community to get, full representation from the community. Awesome. And took on all sorts of initiatives and worked at the international as well as the state and local levels with other fire chiefs to improve representation from all of the people of color groups, as well as females and FIDAT and every area. And I thought I was great. Then I got to Facebook, and I was an amateur because it definitely at a different level and a different experience at the corporate level. And it was phenomenal. It's like I said, top three. It's definitely one of the top three things that has helped enrich me as a person, and a manager and a fellow coworker. Absolutely.
That's awesome. Hold on. Another clapperoo for that, my friend, because I feel the same way too. I was a little bit close-minded, and I grew up in kind of, you could call it the South. Florida's not really the South, but it's kind of the South. And this is actually just coming to California as a whole, really opened my mind to a lot of things. And then getting into the tech world of Silicon Valley really got me kind of over the hump and got me there. But listen, I told you it goes by really quick. All right. So we're like at 27 minutes and so. So listen, leave your fellow firefighters with just a couple of kind of anything that will help them either come over to the corporate world or parting words, and then we'll close it out.
All right. So my parting words are constantly in order to really fulfill, right, our charge or our duty as a firefighter, you need to constantly push yourself and you need to constantly expand, right? And firefighters do that endlessly, right? Constantly drilling, constantly practicing, right? Take the same energy and vigor that you put into that, put it back into yourself in terms of improving yourself. And then once you've, spent your time within the fire service, you really need to look broader and say, how can I take these skills that I have and what I have to offer and then sort of pass it on? And there's a bunch of different ways, whether you go and you teach in a fire academy or teach at a community college or volunteer or work at corporate, because corporate desperately needs people with the firefighter mindset, right? To come in, that brings the diversity, that brings some inclusion, that brings a different thought, which helps the enterprise security establishment think from a different perspective or have at least another voice that comes in that provides them with some expertise and some diversity.
Man, that was money. That was money, everybody, and a clap for you, my friend. Awesome. Jim, what an awesome time, man. I appreciate you giving back to the community and doing it in your own time and making some things happen for those folks transitioning from the firefighter world. You are a gentleman, a scholar, and a good-looking 21-year-old. Like I said, I'm sorry, man. You look that young, man. So,
thanks, brother. Appreciate that. Nowhere near there, but yes.
But thank you very much for your time, and we're going to close it out here, my friend. Thank you, everybody out there. This is the corporate security translator and the author of So You Want to Get Into Corporate Security, coming out June 30th. You can actually pick it up right now on Amazon if you like. If you have a Kindle, there you go. But that's it. Jim Frawley, firefighter of the decade, a year, and everything in my heart to get that award, man. I should have gotten the award. Actually, my kid grabbed my award and put it over there. I just have a little award that I usually give to great folks like yourself. But hey, you are the man, sir. Thank you for your time. All right.
Thank you, Carlos. Appreciate it.
All right, everybody. We're out. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care.